And we're live, people. Welcome back to Stan Sports, the home of Spanish football conversations. I had to get the cobwebs out today. We're back in the channel after a 2-month break, but we got a special guest, people. We got a regular on this channel, a Sevilla native. Who better to get to tell us about the loud neighbors that just knocked out Man United last night? Mr. David Whitworth, welcome back.
Hey Stan, nice to see you again. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. As I said, I've abandoned a little bit Stan Sports. Really sorry to everyone following this channel, but we're gonna be back in here. We're gonna do some video vlogs soon. I'm going back to the Mestalla next week, I believe. I'm gonna go see them against Valladolid in a must-win game. I mean, every game is a must-win at this point. But and then hopefully at some point, I'm thinking Elche because it's not too far, and I haven't been to, what was it, the Estadio Valero or something?
Yeah, Martinez Valero. Yeah.
Martinez
I've been there
Valero.
once. Yeah.
And they're down, so it's probably like the last time you will see them in Primera for a while. So yeah, I might do a little trip to Elche, see how it goes. But how about Seville? Is it basically summertime now?
It is. It's getting very, very hot. Yeah, we're nudging to 35 degrees coming up next week for the big fair, which is happening in the city, and it's almost as hot on the football field as it is on the in the weather as well, with the two teams performing very, very well at the moment.
Feria de Mayo. For everyone that doesn't know, it's the busiest time basically in Seville, right? All year.
Yeah, with the Semana Santa, yeah, it's a big area. I was around there this morning, and it starts tomorrow evening for a whole week. It was just a few years ago between Monday and Saturday, but they've extended it, which is a great idea for people to come for the weekend as well. So it starts tomorrow night, the big switch on with the Facade, La Podada, as it's known here in Spain. And yeah, it's a week of great fun and dancing and drinking and more drinking and more fun, and it's a big deal for the city.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'm sure you got your own carpa at this point and your own VIP club. But speaking of Sevilla, I know that it's not your favorite thing to talk about the neighbors, but I mean, from a football perspective, from content perspective, it's crazy. It's crazy what's happened. There were jokes flying around that United is playing the Copa del Rey this season in the Europa League, and that's what doesn't make sense to me, right? Because in the last round, United pretty comfortably, I would say, deals with Barca, the league, La Liga leaders, with 9 goals conceded, just basically walking the league this season, and then goes and loses to the team that has possibly one of their worst seasons in their history. I mean, have Sevilla ever gone down before?
Yeah, it's been a long time. Obviously, yeah, as a La Liga journalist, I'm happy to cover all perspective, even the local rivals of my beloved Betis. But it is intriguing that Sevilla have had one of their worst seasons in the last 20 years. I believe it was 20 years ago that Sevilla was relegated. Funny enough, with Betis, normally the teams go hand in hand. They get relegated together, they get promoted together, they finish in Europe together. They do everything together. It's for two teams that really loathe each other. They really are go hand in hand at times. But it's very poignant that the season that they have their worst struggles in years, but going into the Europa League, it's their fabled competition. Just think of Real Madrid in the Champions League, with the spirit that they have and a never say die attitude, and something different about them, a different animal when they come into that league. It's the same with Sevilla, and once again they proved it against the Manchester United team that I think took them for granted. They didn't respect the opposition, and they thought they were going to sail through to the semi-finals. And I think that there was a lot of the first leg was certainly the leg that Manchester United lost. They were winning 2-0. Comfortable, and then Sevilla got back into the game, and that's when the momentum swung. Already the tie was 2-2, but really Sevilla were ahead on momentum swing and rhythm, because coming back to the Sanchez Pizjuan, a raucous crowd, always expectant with the Europa League as well. They're 5 times winners, and they know how to get the job done this competition. And that streetwise, that experience, that know-how, and the passion of the fans took them to another level once again. And you've got to give credit to the team for getting the tactics right and just out fighting, and showed more passion than Manchester United. Better team on the night. No, there's no fluke.
So is it as easy as saying that it's football heritage? Because we're seeing this now in the Champions League with AC Milan, getting the better of Napoli. That you would say that Napoli is the better team overall, but then maybe the history, the know-how of Milan gets them through. We've seen it with like Roma now, also in the Europa League, Sevilla again. So does it help that you got that history behind you, and maybe kind of covers the season you had so far, and gives you extra confidence when you have a look at the trophies, going through the tunnel and stuff?
I believe so. Yeah, you only have to look at the history of these clubs like Milan, like Roma, like Sevilla. They've been there, rode it, done it in the competitions. They've won it, and obviously the different playing staff, different managers, sometimes even different presidents. But that history is there, and it counts for a lot. And you know that this club can do this in history. And I think it just, I don't know, subconsciously gives the current staff, current manager, current president a boost that this has been done in the past. Okay, for instance, in terms of Sevilla, they haven't got the squad that they have in recent years, but still, there's something, they've got that fabled joyfulness about that competition, that when it comes to that, when they flick that switch, it becomes a different competition. It becomes their domain. And I think there's definitely something with that football heritage. It's not a coincidence that these teams that you're seeing now, they've been there in the past because they've been there and they've got that experience. And like I said, obviously different circumstances, but that history, it counts for a lot, and it's showing.
And maybe it's like an escape for them from the misery of what this season's been, and kind of like a fresh competition, fresh start. Obviously, a new coach, Mendilibar coming in, making a few changes. So yeah, it's been the perfect storm for Sevilla, and they're in another semifinal.
They are indeed, and I must credit Mendilibar. He's an excellent manager. He's been around the block in La Liga for many years. I remember with Valladolid, he kept up Valladolid many years ago when there was a big game against Betis, and that relegated Betis, and he was the manager then. And he's been a very good manager without having a great possibility of going to a next level club, let's say. And this was remarkably his first game in Europe. All the years he's been a manager, this was his first match managing a team in Europe. And what a match to take on. He got his tactics spot on. And I think he's beaten in 5 matches now. And it's noticeable that the change he's given, just that freshness and just that simplicity, cutting out errors, something that Man United could learn from. Keep it simple, stick to the basics, build from back. Try to be hard to beat, and it's showing with the team that they're certainly stabilised in La Liga. I see it very difficult now that they're going to be relegated. Before, without him, there was big pressure on them to stay up, but I think that they've navigated their way out of troubled waters now. I think they'll probably finish around 10th or 11th in La Liga, and obviously the big thing for now is they can concentrate on their fabled competition once again. And who's going to put it past them to win it? They've got to a semis now. They face Juventus, which it should be really a final, that game. It'd be a tremendous two legs.
Well, certain Jose Mourinho won't agree with you on the other side. But I completely agree with you. I think Mendilibar was the perfect pair of safe hands, exactly what Sevilla needed right now after getting rid of a long-term manager, then getting an ex back that didn't really work out. So yeah, the experience, the know-how of Mendilibar, been there, done it, like you said, so many years in the elite of Spanish football. It was exactly what the doctor prescribed for them. And I think also for United, we have to say there's a couple of factors coming into the end of the season. I feel like finally the games have caught up with them. They've been in all competitions, injuries, suspensions. Their squad is not even that deep anyway. They let's not forget they're still a team in a transition. First year under Ten Hag. If anything, they're overachieving. What they've been doing so far. So I expected, to be honest, a bit of a dip, especially with key figures like like Varane out, like Rashford, their main source of goals in the last few months. So I was expecting a dip, but to be honest, I did expect that they're gonna take care of Sevilla, and they were my favorite for this competition overall. So very surprised to see them. But what do you reckon? Are we gonna be treated to Sevilla Roma final this year?
I believe so. I think that Sevilla will get the better of Juventus over 2 games, and I think that the most curious team of the four is Bayer Leverkusen with Xabi Alonso. He's done a tremendous job since he's come in. That team was 15th in the Bundesliga when he came in. I think they're around 6th, 7th, 8th around about now. And obviously in the semi-finals of the cup, they did well to get through in their last game as well last night. So much credit has to go to him, and he's going to be making a top manager. You can see there's a lot of, obviously he had a stellar career as a player. You can see that he's got that managerness with him, and it's Bayer Leverkusen that are getting the fruits of the loom at the moment. I think it'd be a close game. I think it'd be a very close game. I don't think it'd be a runaway, famous last words, win for Roma, but I think that Roma will just have that little bit of experience with Mourinho and with their team to get to the final, and then what a final that would be. Roma against Sevilla, tremendous final, and literally a flip of a coin. Obviously, you've got Sevilla, who are, very, very good record when it comes to finals, but so are Roma. Let's not forget that last year they won the Europa Conference, the first time ever. They could be doing their first unique Europe Conference, then UEFA Cup. Imagine they get into the Champions League next season, they go for that. So, I mean, they're a cup specialist as well. The 2 cup specialists in a final, something obviously would have to give, but it would be a very, very exciting final.
Yeah, lots of narratives. We have Juve that's been, punished, and they got the points back. Now, possibility to get into European final and back in the Champions League, which looks like they're gonna get through the league anyway. But something like a redemption again for them. And then speaking of redemption, if Sevilla goes and wins it, we're talking from one of their worst seasons to another successful season in Europe. So it will be interesting. The good thing is that Europa League, I think for a few seasons now, is starting to get relevance, and there's some top teams involved. But let's go to the big competition, because the Champions League, obviously, this week. What was the biggest surprise for you from the semi-finalists that we have now?
I think the biggest surprise for me was how Man City dismantled Bayern in that first leg. I think that was the biggest thing. I expected City to get through in a very close game. Obviously, another game that could have been a final, but I didn't expect it to be that easy for City. But they've just clicked at the right time. I was doing some research into them yesterday. They've not lost in 15 matches, and that would have been their 10th win in a row if it would have been a win against Bayern in the Alliance Arena. And they've clicked with this new formation that they've come up with. And I know that Pep Guardiola's been his own enemy in big games with tinkering too much in the tactics, but he seems to have his tactics spot on now. I think for the first time in 3 consecutive matches, he played the same 11 as well. So there's got that harmony, that continuity with the team, and it's showing, because they're firing on all cylinders. But the biggest thing, obviously, this season to last season is they've got a certain striker called Erling Haaland that is the cherry on the cake. And I think that is the difference between them, between getting close to winning the Champions League and ultimately winning the Champions League this season. That performance against Bayern, that 3-0 win, told me a lot, because Bayern are a very, very good team, a lot of experience in the Champions League, and to dismantle them in the manner that they did and nearly win at the Alliance Arena tells me that, for me, they are the favourites. Obviously, it's going to be a terrific match with Real Madrid again. The semi-finals were repeat from last season.
Yeah, I feel like I'm having deja vu,
Yes.
with the Chelsea, Liverpool.
Just like it is, isn't it? How does this happen, Stan, every season?
It's just the final that if they get to an eventual final, that it will be something different for the first time, like an Italian side for once in a while. But
yeah, absolutely.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I even said it on the podcast. I mean, that was the worst game I remember as since I've been watching football. The worst game in the Champions League for Bayern Munich, and for me, that game alone was a sackable offense already for Tuchel, because to start a game without a number 9, without any edge at all, like City was just as comfortable as they would be playing Leicester, last weekend. Or it was embarrassing, and obviously we can blame it on individual errors. Upamecano, I mean, he doesn't help himself even with in the second leg. Some of the mistakes that he's made, but I just don't get why Bayern went this route and risking so much to get rid of their manager when if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I feel like they were probably something broken, but it wasn't on the front line. It was behind the scenes, and I don't think it was worth making such a big switch when things were going well and on the glance of it.
I agree. I think that best to probably say that there's something that was cracked there, but there was something that wasn't fundamentally broken. It was a very, very strange decision to make for a team that, okay, since they've come back from the Bundesliga, they've not been the all singing, all dancing Bayern team, but still they're high up in the table. They're still in the Champions League. I think Nagelsmann won 8 consecutive matches in the Champions League this season. So his record is very, very good in European matches as well. So it seemed an odd time to make that decision. Something has happened behind the scenes that we don't know, that there's been some kind of bust up or something, because the results have not been as much as they expect for a Bayern team, but still they're not really, really disastrous. So it seems strange timing, and obviously it's shown now because Tuchel's come in. He's only had 1 win in the last 5. I think Oliver Kahn said that we need to preserve our chances of getting the treble. Well, that's gone by the window now. So, I mean, it seems a very, very strange decision to make to maybe because they were thinking of making that decision at the end of the season and Tuchel was their guy, and maybe the likes of Chelsea, Tottenham, Real Madrid, all looking for potential managers next season. They probably thought, okay, let's get him now and let's lock it in before he goes somewhere else. That's another potential reason, but the timing was very strange and it's not helped Bayern at all. In fact, it's probably made them go worse. And there were some strange decisions in that game as well. Yeah, the lack of a striker, lack of intensity, the error strewn of the defence that was caused. Obviously, City were imperious in that game, but they were helped by a Bayern team that were very much weak on the night and made it much easier for them.
Yeah, even in the second leg, there wasn't really any intensity. City was comfortable again. They missed a penalty, but like you say, Haaland is a difference maker, because even in this game, we saw him miss a penalty. How many players would just heads drops down, insecurity. He still goes on, waits for his chance and scores a goal. And the fact that we have a striker that is, at the top of playing at the top of his game, and elite at finishing, and behind him you have someone that's elite at passing. It's scary. It's scary proposition, and I do agree with you that it's a different City compared to last year. But I still find it very difficult to build against Real Madrid. I'll be honest.
You can never write them out, can you? I mean, how can you write out a team that are just like Sevilla in their competition? They just seem to come back from the dead. And 3 times last year with the games with Manchester City, when they were losing in added time, came back to be drawing. Then they took the lead in extra time to get through. You can't write them out. I mean, I will say the Haaland factor and the fact that the City is such a juggernaut at the minute, I just think that it might just be their time. I'm going to go with them to get through, but okay, you cannot write them out. It would not be a surprise at all if Real Madrid get through and win.
But everyone does. Everyone does. If you have a browse through media content, it's everyone saying City is the favorite, and it's probably what Real Madrid wants to keep as a narrative, to be honest.
Yeah, it helps them. It helps them because normally they are the team that are the favorite, takes the pressure off them, and they can say, well, yeah, obviously City are doing well this season, so yeah, we're the little Real Madrid and we'll get to the semis. No. They're deep down, they'll be thinking we can do this again, of course. When you get to a semi, Stan, I always think you get to that Final Four, anybody can win it. Anybody. I mean, like even Bayer Leverkusen in Europa League, you have to give them credit to get to this level. I mean, look at last season, it was Eintracht Frankfurt and Rangers in the final. Who would have said that those two would have got to the final? So you can't discount any of them. Yes, there are favourites, but when you get to a semi-final, you're 2 matches away from winning the competition. It's anybody's. It literally is anybody's, and that's what we love about football. When it gets to the nitty gritty, this is the real the stage where it really ups the ante. You will see the men from the boys now.
And on the other side, what a semifinal we have. A Milan derby, playing in the same stadium, two-leg affair. The last time they played, I'm sure you remember there was some craziness going on with fireworks and game getting suspended. So I'm expecting this to be a absolute spectacle.
This is a tremendous match, and it shows that Serie A is on the way. He's on the way back, because you see, not just in this competition, you see that Roma in the Europa League, Fiorentina in the European Conference. Serie A is making a comeback. It's nice to see, because when we were children, Serie A was the main league with all the big teams. All the main players wanted to go to Serie A. So it's nice to see that renaissance in the league.
And what's impressive is none of them is the leader of the league. Napoli is winning the league, and you have all these other teams involved in Europe. So it speaks of a good quality.
Exactly. It says a lot for the league that you see the runaway leaders, obviously, in Napoli, but the rest of them, they're acquitting themselves very, very well in the European competitions. And I think this is going to be a tremendous occasion. I think that it's going to be very, very close. Again, there's not going to be much in these two teams. And I will just go for AC Milan. I think that just something tells me that the matches against Napoli shows that they've got a really good quality about them over knockout phases. And I think that if this was a league match, I think Inter maybe would be the better team. But I don't know. There's something about knockout matches this season with Milan, with the goals of Giroud, Mike Manan in the goal as well. I think that, I think that AC Milan go through in this one. But again, it'd be very, very close. These typical Serie A games, that we probably like one goal over the two games.
Yeah. Especially the first leg. The first leg, I feel like, will be very defensive.
Cagey. Yes.
And then the second will be decided, basically, because there's no home away advantage at all. It's like two.
No, they're not traveling this way.
Yeah. Two sets of fans on each side, two fair games. It will be great atmosphere, and I agree with you. I do see Milan slightly edging it. I was very impressed by them against Napoli. Defensively, they were outstanding. Outstanding against some of the best attacking force in Europe this season. I know that they're not in the best shape right now, Napoli. This couple of past weeks, but still, to only concede a goal in the last minute of the second leg, it's super impressive. And then going forward, I feel like they have more guns. They have more firepower than Inter, because Rafa Leao, we have to say, again, just like last season where he was pivotal for their title win, he is just a player that when he's on his day, he's up there. He's world class. And the goal that Giroud scored, that he gave the assist, is just him busting through the middle. Just saying basically, I'm getting to that box, and then I'm making something happen. So I don't see the same in Inter. They have quality. They have Barella, obviously. They have Lautaro that can finish. But Milan just has those mentality monsters, just those characters like Giroud, has been there, done it. Magnan, that seems to be in great form. The Tonali and Tomori seems to be a really good partnership. So yeah, slightly, and the history, obviously. I think what a nice final would that be, to have Real Madrid against Milan, the ultimate two most successful clubs in Europe.
Yeah, big heavyweight clash that would be, wouldn't it?
But I think enough for Europe. We mentioned Conference League. We still, unfortunately, we don't have Villarreal anymore involved. So it's probably going to be Fiorentina, the favorite in that one. West Ham, true. Yeah,
I think it could be West Ham's year. I think that they came close last year. They was in the Europa League semi-final stage, got beat by Eintracht Frankfurt. I think that similar with Sevilla, they've had a horrible time in the Premier League, still not safe, but I think they will do enough to stay up. But I just think that it would be great for David Moyes as well. He's been such a great ambassador for the Premier League with his work with Everton. Obviously, didn't have a lot of time and luck at Manchester United, but he's proven what a competent manager he is with West Ham again, with the job that he's done in recent seasons. And I think that this could be their time. They've got a squad that are capable of winning this Europe Conference. And on the back of a really bad season for them in the league, it would be fantastic for them to finish and win it and get back into the Europa League next season. I think that would be the swan song, perfect swan song for Declan Rice as well. He's got a great goal in that match against Ghent, and I think that with respect to West Ham, he needs to be playing in the Champions League now. He's acquitted himself very well in the England team. He's played well when he's played in Europe. He's one of the best players in his position in the Premier League. I personally would like to see him in the Champions League next season for one of the teams, whether it's in home or abroad. And I think that him lifting this cup would be the best, goodbye to West Ham. And I think they've got every chance. I think they're playing very well this season. They came back against Ghent. And like I said, that's experience from last season in the Europa League. I think it will serve them well.
Yeah, I also think it will be a goodbye for David Moyes, to be honest. I'm getting the feeling that it might be his last season. So yeah, what a great way to end it. And then with Rice, as you say, there's rumors of him going to Arsenal. So let's see. I would very much enjoy that if he joins the Arsenal project. But let's have a look at La Liga. Obviously, Barca, the runaway champions at the moment, not crowned yet. They've been kind of having a few missteps. I think haven't scored now in 3 consecutive games, 0-0s. But do you see any hope that Real Madrid can make a little bit of a race of it, or is it pretty much done?
I think it's pretty much done. I think that both teams pretty much know it's done as well, because like you said, that Barcelona have not scored in the last 3 games. I think that they're just going to canter to the line now. They know that they've done enough. And I think that with Real Madrid obviously having full vision on the Champions League, they'll be resting players when they come to the league matches as well. So, yeah, I think it's done and dusted. I think that Barcelona have done enough to win it. They'll not limp over the line, but they'll do enough to get to the finish and win. And obviously Real Madrid are going to be concentrating on lifting once again the Champions League. So there's not been really a race. I think when it was at Christmas, it was pretty close. It was looking like, this is going to be a great title race. But as time's gone on, Real Madrid have just huffed and puffed. They've not had enough to keep up with Barcelona when they was really at it on form and winning week after week. And couple that with Real Madrid focusing now on the Champions League means that they're going to be focused on their own competitions now.
Do you still see them dropping points this weekend, though? They play an in-form Atleti at home. I think, 7 straight wins or something, I think Atletico has in, great form ever since they shipped João Felix to London. So I don't know if it's correlated, but, they seem to be playing some good football as well, not just winning, very confident football, scoring goals, really claim that 3rd spot, because at some point of the seasons, we were even talking about, another possibility for another Champions League team from Betis, Villarreal, and Real Sociedad, but they've really staked that. Do you think they come away from Camp Nou with something this weekend?
Every chance. Like you say, they've really clicked this season, and I think that they've got that gap now that they will finish 3rd in the league. I think there was a bit of a doubt a couple of months ago between themselves and Betis, Villarreal, Real Sociedad coming into that mix to maybe to finish in the Europa League. But I think they put the afterburners on at the right time, and they've got enough points now that they've got that buffer that will give them that little bit of confidence to keep playing well at the level that they got. And this could well be a draw at the weekend. I see a good entertaining draw between the 2 teams, and I think Atletico, will finish with a flourish towards the end of the season, and then who knows in the summer if Simeone stays or he finds that this is the moment to go. I think that the end is coming for him. It might not be this season, but I get the feeling that we're seeing the beginning of the end for him. And I mean, what a stellar job he's done. If you're loving or you hate him, you got to respect him. I mean, the trophies that he's won, the mentality change that he's gone from that club that were 12th when they sacked Gregorio Manzano to winning Europa Ligas, winning La Liga, being in finals, being a top team in Europe. He's done a tremendous job, and but every scenario, every story has its finishers, like we're seeing with one Joaquin Sanchez with Betis as well.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Joaquin Sanchez, finally putting the boots up. Surprising, I think, for, at least for me, because I expected him to at least finish the season. But what was it? Was it injury, or what do you think prompted this kind of decision out of nowhere in the middle of April?
Well, he is going to be continuing till the end of the year, so
Ah,
he's got
okay.
9 more matches left. Because there's two big things that he's going to be looking out for. Obviously, helping Betis into the Champions League, but also he's going to try and get the record of Andoni Zubizarreta, the ex-goalkeeper of Barcelona and Spain, who is, I think, 7 games away at the moment with 9 matches to go. So I've been told that even if a player comes on for 1 minute, 2 minutes, it still counts. So don't be surprised if you see Joaquin come on for 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here. And I'm sure that Mr. Pellegrini will be getting him on to try and get that record. But I think that I saw the press conference yesterday, and very emotional, obviously, but he's ready. And I know people inside the club from my contacts, and they've told me the same thing, that for weeks and weeks he's been deliberating about this. He's been thinking whether wait until the end of the season, see if Betis are going to be in Champions League and maybe give it one more go. But I think that ultimately he wants the decision for himself. And I think that the timing is right. Him himself has made this decision. And if he thinks this is the right time, then this is the right time. Only he knows. Everybody can give their opinion about this and this. If he's made his mind up and he feels this is the right choice, it's because it's the right choice. And at 41 years old, he's going to be 42 this July. He's given himself this platform to go how he wants to go. And you could see yesterday that naturally he's very, very sad and distraught with, his life coming to an end. El arte, the art of what he calls it in football. But he's had a stellar career, and 23 seasons he's been playing with teams of Betis, Villarreal, Malaga, Fiorentina. Won 3 Copa del Reys, 2 with Betis, 1 with Valencia. He's had a fantastic career, and the longevity is outstanding. I mean, when he came back in 2015, I did not think for 1 second that he would be with Betis 8 seasons more. I thought maybe 2-3 seasons more. That's credit to him, his professionality, and the nutrition staff and all the staff, physios working at Betis to keep him going for this long. And not just that, like he said yesterday, he's and I'm really glad about this. His body is not retiring him. He's not retiring because his body's giving up, or that's it. He's not. No, he could go another season. And even the management, the staff have told him, if you wanted to go for another season, you can. But it's nice that his body's not retiring him, but he's made that decision himself, and he's going to go on. He's going to retire when still he can give something to Betis, and I think that's the most important thing. He's leaving at the right time. He's exiting the stage all left when he seems fit, and he's going to get a tremendous ovation everywhere he goes now for the next 9 matches. Even if he plays in the derby with Sevilla, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes on, they applaud him, and then as soon as he gets a touch, they'll start whistling him. But I believe that that's the respect that even he gets there as well. So he's had a tremendous career, and very sad time for Betis supporters, but you just got to be so proud of what he's achieved for the club, for La Liga in general as well. The status he's given the football as well. He's the perfect ambassador for the club and for La Liga.
Yeah, an absolute legend, and as you said, he's one of those few players that anywhere he goes, any stadium around the country, he gets applauded. And I don't know if it's the fact that he never played for one of the big boys, the longevity, or just his personality, but just everyone loves him. And as we've been seeing, he's had shows, he's been in media already, so you could see that he's kind of paving already an after football life. And it's not coming as a huge surprise that he wants to dedicate more time to those projects. I'm sure we'll see him on a late night show or something, or a football show, hosting something. Like, he's such a personality that he's gonna be around football one way or another. Why not even get involved with Betis at some point, with as a sporting director, whatever, coach, whatever he decides to do. So what about this weekend for Verde Blancos? Are you seeing some positive result away at Osasuna? Tough place, as we always say, tough place to go, but even more this season because Osasuna involved in the Copa del Rey final, and I think El Sadar probably one of the worst places you go to pick up 3 points.
Yeah, it's always a fortress, is El Sadar, and they've had a tremendous season. And obviously, getting to the Copa del Rey final. That won't be easy for Real Madrid. I think that'll be a really competitive final coming up in 2 weeks' time. But I think that might be an advantage with Betis this weekend, that maybe they'll be starting to focus on that. It's only a natural tendency that when you've got a big final coming up, you're not going to be going in full-blooded to tackles or playing your normal way, let's say. And it's not an
especially
excuse.
when they're safe as well in the league,
Exactly that. So it's not an excuse. It's just a reality. We've seen it in the past with teams when they get to finals. So that could be the opening that Betis need to get what would be a crucial 3 points to keep Betis' Champions League prospects alive. And then there's a big match next Tuesday with Real Sociedad at the Estadio Benito Villamarín. That will be their key match for both teams. The winner of that, I think, has the keys to the Champions League castle for next season. It's going to be a big match, that. And that is one to watch for anyone that's watching this now. Any neutrals out there, that will be a terrific match because you got two teams that are on form, playing well, desperate to get into that Champions League next season with all the riches and all playing the big teams for next season. So that could be one of the big games of the season. And it's on the horizon next Tuesday.
Does Villarreal still get in there for you? I know that they lost last weekend to Valladolid. I think very disappointing, game that you would expect them to kind of pick up easy 3 points, keep up the race. But do you still count them as a Champions League contender?
You can't rule them out. But I mean, I think the thing is with them is they're not consistent. And if they had that consistency, they would definitely be winning it more of the reckoning. But you've got a team that goes to the Santiago Bernabeu and plays so well and wins 3-2 against Real Madrid, and then they slip up against Valladolid at home. That's the consistency that is clearly lacking in that team. And it's not just been recently, it's been throughout the season. They've played really good matches against higher teams, but when they're coming down against the bottom teams, they've not been that consistent. They've not been that ruthless. And to get into the Champions League, you have to be ruthless. And I know that from the Betis persuasion that the last few years that Betis have been close, been knocking on the door, but when it comes to that ruthlessness, that difference between the 5th place and the 4th place is big. And that's what's been Betis' Achilles heel in recent times. That when they've had that chance to take that step forward, they haven't. And I think that's going to be the situation with Villarreal this season. They've had a good season with Quique Setién. They should be in the top 6, but to make it to the top 4, I think it's just a bit too much of a mountain to scale this time. I think it's between Betis and Real Sociedad.
Yeah, I agree with you. For me, too many moving parts for a season to be successful, because it's not like they made the managerial change because they wanted another manager, another project. It was inflicted on by basically another Premier League team coming and picking,
Indeed.
some of our best managers here in Laliga. And speaking of Unai Emery, look at what he's doing with Villa already. So you can't blame him. The cream of the crop are going where the money is, and that's just how it works. But yeah, like too many moving parts, managers. I think Gerard Moreno in and out again. Coming out of Europe, I think was a little bit of a downer as well, because that was a competition that we always felt like they're going to be at least involved in the final, especially after what they did last season in Champions League. So yeah, I agree with you. They will come up just short. And watch out, because with the Athletic Club, that's the form that they're on from behind them. They might even lose their Europa League spot, let alone Champions League.
They're coming up like a trainer, Athletic Club. Yeah, I mean, they got a great result against Real Sociedad, 2-0 in the Big Bass derby. And they're coming on the rails, and they've not been spoken about, but they've hit form at the right time. And they might just sneak into that 6th spot and suit Villarreal at the last moment.
And looking at the bottom of the league, obviously Elche, they're gone. There's no way back for them, but I think the other 2 spots are still up for grabs. Espanyol and Valencia right now occupying. I mean, I watched the game last weekend against Sevilla, and it was just really disappointing. Another loss for Valencia. Obviously, the referees didn't help, but still, yeah, it just seems like he's starting to get that feeling that they have it written. The writing is on the wall. They do go to Elche this weekend, a game that is a must-win. Obviously, must-win for Valencia. Do you see Valencia going down? Like, do you see Espanyol maybe turning around? Who are your other two picks for to go down?
It's going to be very, very interesting to see how I think it's going to go down to the final game. I mean, you've got a few teams there that are on the bubble. Getafe are doing well at home. They might just pick up enough points at home to stay up. Same with Cadiz, Almeria as well. I think the home form will be crucial for all these teams at the end of the season. But the two are there with Elche now. They're in a real dogfight. Espanyol are in real bad form at the minute. They played well against Betis in spells in that match before getting beat 3-1. But you could see that very porous at the back. And with Villarreal there, they're having Valencia, they're having a terrible time of this season. As you know, obviously living there, just like really, really bad and just really, really. It's sad to see what's going on with that club, but there's obviously a lot of errors with Peter Lim, and obviously they've made a lot of managerial mistakes as well. So it's going to be really, really. It's going to be interesting to see how Valencia do at the end of this season. I know the final game is against Betis at the Estadio Benito Villamarín, the last game of the season. Imagine that Joaquin's last game could be with Valencia as well. I mean, imagine the emotion going into that last game of the season. Betis potentially for a Champions League spot. Valencia potentially to stay up. It's Joaquin's last game after 23 years. I mean, you couldn't envisage any more emotion in that match. But yeah, the writing could be on the wall. I mean, there's no club too big to go down. I know with Betis, it happened to us 10 years ago. It's happened to Atletico Madrid. It's happened to Sevilla. It's happened to Real Sociedad. They're in a real dogfight this moment, and it seems like everything's going against them. The refereeing decisions, tactics. Obviously, the fans are irate at the moment. They're in a real bad way, and obviously it's a crucial match with Elche that I see them getting the 3 points, but you just look at the other fixtures and you think, where are the results coming from? Where are the wins coming from? And as the matches tick over, the more they're in that bottom three, the more pressure there'll be on the team and Ruben Baraja, and it's a dire situation. It could be one of them that I know we've spoken about off broadcast, that it might be they have to go down to start again, to come back up fresh and have a change of leadership, change of ownership, change of ethos and come back after one season and become a new side again. But it's amazing to see that a club that is so used to the Champions League, so used to winning at the start of the millennium with Rafa Benitez and winning the leagues and the UEFA Cup, stellar in the Champions League with Unai Emery, to be at the wrong end of the table. It's still strange when you see that league table that they're there. It's like, is this really happening? But that table never lies at the end of the day, and they're there for a reason.
No, yeah, and I think the next three fixtures are gonna basically tell us if Valencia can do it, because they're playing teams down the bottom. After Elche, they have Valladolid here on the Thursday, and then Cadiz. They go to Cadiz on next weekend. So, yeah, I think basically we'll know by the end of April if they have it to stay in. But like you say, there's just too many signs that it looks like the perfect storm for a team to go down, because even the players, when you look at some of the players, knowing that, they're low knees or they're like Jorge Mendes players that, in the summer, they're going to be on the phone. They're already on the phone that, where are they going this summer? So you just get the sense that there's not enough even, players that will fight, to get out. So unfortunately, but then again, I have a theory that actually maybe going down might not be the worst thing for the way Valencia is run. So yeah, let's see. They still have some games to put it right, because let's be honest, there are teams down there that can also go down easily. There are some pretty bad teams this season in La Liga. I think Almeria is a team that hasn't really impressed. Cadiz has come back a little bit, made a bit of a comeback, but Getafe, as you said, what a terrible season they're having. Valladolid, they're not safe still. Espanyol, for me, is the biggest surprise, to be honest, because if anything, I was expecting them with David Martinez, to go for Europe, not be fighting to go to stay up. But that's how it works, in La Liga. But David, listen, I've taken enough of your time now. It's been 45 minutes. Thank you so much for coming on and helping me wrap up a little bit this past week in Spanish football. And as you know, you're always welcome back on this channel. And hopefully we'll be back soon.
Yeah, always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. And yeah, we'll definitely speak soon about all La Liga and Champions League and Europa League matters.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. This is Stan Sports. Once again, don't forget to like, subscribe to Stan Sports, and we're going to be doing more of these Spanish football conversations. Hasta luego, chicos. Bye-bye.